putting your hands on somebody, but I didn't understand that. And it gave me the skills in living in balance to relate to that and to send out my apologies, even though I haven't never had the opportunity to say it to him myself. I send it out in prayer and I pray for him all the time. I never really meant to hurt nobody. I just wanted to get high and I wasn't thinking. And it cost me 24 years of my life and my family. And I just understand now that I have triggers. My anger, I understand now how to deal with it and look at it and what decisions to make, because I know that poor decision making brings on poor situations that'll lead me in results that'll be poor.
Okay, I have that you've served 21 years. How many years has he actually served?
Since 2002.
Since 2002.
Okay.
So it's been 24 years.
Okay. I'll make that note right now. You were heard in 2024 and you were denied. How did you walked away from that hearing? How did you look at that denial?
I looked at everything that the board was saying was true about me. And as much as it was, I had to accept that. And I was given hope through a lot of people, like, accept what the truth is, but commit yourself to make a new truth. And that's the pattern I took. I decided, I said, I know it was hard for me. I want to be with my kids. Everything was right there. But I understood that those things that were said about me, I did. So from there, I just took and just kept going the way that I was going. I was offered by Mr. Brady. He gave me a good suggestion. I was like, okay. And I just put my best foot forward, I guess, in the situation.
What if you'd had that advice 20 years ago? Things would be a lot different, I think. Huh?
Right. Right. Yes, ma'am. It's like when Ms. Dozak offered me to go and speak with the kids over here at Dave Wade. Every time I go, I look out in the crowd and I wonder if it's somebody that was going through the same things that I went through as a kid. So when I speak to them, I try my best to reach out and let them know to listen to the people that's helping them and the people that's there for them, and to actually listen to that advice and take it and proceed it and to do better.
Do my colleagues have any questions, Mr. Bonner?
Yeah, I got a question. I see you had several periods of supervision before, several periods revoked. What would be different this time and why? Why would you think you'd be able to make it this time when you couldn't make it in all those other times?
The seriousness of that the state showed me that this was the end. They wasn't playing with me. That took a serious effect on me. Seriousness of the situation and the way that I feel inside. I understand now that you can't just do what you want to. You have to abide by rules, and you have to apply yourself, and you have to help people. That's what God made more than one of us. We have to help each other. So I look at an opportunity now. I will be there at every meeting to get a job, to be an active citizen in society. I long for.
Where do you plan on living if you were to get out early?
With my big sister, Michelle.
Where is that?
And that's in BREAUX, Louisiana, sir. Home of the Crawfish Festival.
I got you.
You
Yes,
haven't
sir.
been in a few years, though, I'm sure. Mrs. Stapleton?
Well, I mean, I'm going to get back to what you were talking about, living in balance, and that you gotten an awareness of victims. So, where the victim lived, they would not want you back in their parish again.
Yes, ma'am. Let's
go there.
No, I'm in that's Lafayette Parish. I'll be in BREAUX.
Right.
I plan on just every day going to work. Excuse me. I didn't hear you, ma'am.
And another thing is, I mean, had your sentence been consecutive instead of concurrent for the different things that you did, it would have
Yes,
been a
ma'am.
7-year sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
You got a concurrent that stopped it at 50 years.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
years, you served 24 years of 50.
Yes, ma'am.
A little bit more about what did you do to the victim that day that you think that maybe it would affect them mentally for the rest of their life? What do you think you did?
I think it scared them ladies more than anything. I when you I by me being induced by a controlled dangerous substance, I didn't really understand how serious the drugs that I was on. And I know as I replay the situation in my mind and I think about it, I understand that it was very scary from them. In the beginning, I didn't really realize that. I didn't really have a notion that. But now I understand that it really did scare them people, and I'm very sorry about that. You know, I have I have kids and I have people that I don't feel like it was right, and I feel like that I owe them apology. And although I may never have the chance to say it to them themselves, I do put it in the atmosphere that I'm very sorry for what I do, and God know that I'm really connected to that feeling. So I mean, just being in their personal space was enough to violate they, their whole situation. So that's why I really feel like I went wrong really, really bad.
Live or die that day. And they didn't know if they were going to live or die that day when that happened.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I know
Yes,
that you certainly cannot speak to the victim, and that's absolutely correct. But you can write, and I'm sure maybe they told you about a letter of accountability, and then
Yes, ma'am.
will be you can't mail it to them; they keep it there, and then they just let the victim know. And if the victim ever wants to read it, then that's a middle ground way. That if you're not aware of it, I just would like to make you aware of it and the victim aware of it. That's something that's in the middle of the road.
Yes, ma'am.
That you can do that writes your apology and different things like that, if that's what you wanted to say to the victim in the letter.
Yes,
And if
ma'am.
you ever want to read it, you can read it. So
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm happy for you turning a corner in your 22. Everything I've heard from the warden.
Panel, I have the first vote on this case, and I am not prepared today to adjudicate your case, either favorably or grant or deny. I think there's some things that need to be addressed before. So I would vote to continue this case. We have that purview. That's something we can do. And I'd like to continue this case until another time. So, Mr. Boyance, I can assure you the track that you're on is extremely positive. All of your programming has been in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's working.
Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all have thinking for a change there at your facility? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
That is one class I would like him in as soon as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to defer this hearing and continue it until sometime down the road. Do my colleagues that's my vote. Mr. Farah?
I'll go ahead and also vote with you to continue the hearing to give him more time to put some distance between those write-ups and to get more training. We did tell you when we denied you in July 24 to get some of this training, and you did get some. A little more would be definitely beneficial.
Yes, sir.
So what we need you to get is some kind of long-term VOTEC. We don't want you just doing those little small jobs like what you've been doing before that you don't hold on to for very long. When you need to get a career.
Yes, sir.
Education where you can, get a real job and a full-time job, not a part-time temp job. So we want to
Sir.
see some work in that area. And also, I'm going to put the condition that you complete the victim accountability letter training too before you come back after this. And then
Yes, sir.
once you get all that, have Warden knows that, talk to Mr. Francis Abbott, and we can see about taking another look at this case once you get that stuff done.
Yes,
Along
sir.
with write-up free, which I'm sure I don't have to tell you that.
That is a given. You get a
Yes,
write-up,
ma'am.
don't bother writing back if I'm wrong.
Any kind of write-up.
I
Yes,
won't.
ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Got you.
You're getting a break whether it feels like it or not.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe.
Well, I agree with my colleagues. I think they've covered everything. And then I agree with the more victim awareness, which the letter, and I know she mentioned thinking for a change. I don't know if y'all have a strict class that is victim awareness or it's in part of certain other classes. But, you know, you had victims and where you got victims, you got damage, whether or not it's physical, it's emotional. So, and the victim accountability letter, he keeps talking about putting it out in the universe, we can put it down on paper. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
something you know about, I guess, but it will
Yes,
help.
ma'am.
So I agree with my colleagues.
Staff,
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
very much. Today, on a unanimous vote, we are going to continue this hearing until such time as the inmate is prepared to come back from this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That concludes our business, I think, at David Wade, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Love y'all.
Central Park OP2. Dang. Can I borrow your key?
James. Sit up. His phone, your phone muted.
Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled at headquarters in Baton Rouge. On the panel today, to my left is Carolyn Stapleton. To my right, Danny Barra. I'm Jerry Ledoux. We have before us at the IBERIA Parish Jail, Mr. Francisco. Could you introduce yourself with your name and your DOC number?
James Francisco, 525235.
Okay. Is there any staff in the room with you today?
Yes, ma'am.
Would staff please introduce yourself for the record?
Deputy M. Joseph.
Thank you very much. Deputy, have you had any problems with this offender since he's been in custody with you?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have Mr. Richard Spears, who is the attorney of record. Mr. Spears, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Richard Spears of New Iberia, Louisiana. I represent Mr. Francisco.
Okay. And we also have two other people, but what we're going to do first of all is I need to read out for the record the allegations against Mr. Francisco, and I need him to enter a plea of guilty with a statement, or not guilty. You may assist him if you need, but I need him to enter the plea.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir?
I said, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll read those and then you can give the plea. On or about March 23rd, 26th, you failed to refrain from criminal activity when you were arrested on April 7, 2026 by New Iberia Police Department. You were charged with home invasion. According to the clerk, home invasion was actually null prost on May 28th, 2026. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
And number 10, you failed to make any payments towards the your fees, resulting in being $756 in arrears. How do you plead to that?
My fees are all paid up.
Okay, so since you've been remanded, you've paid your fees?
Yes, ma'am. I couldn't work at the beginning when I first got out due to the case that I was going, I got burned. So I couldn't really work. But everything's been settled.
As of today, your fees are paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mr. Francisco, we have Leah Orson, and throughout the reports, I'm confused because she's referred to as wife and girlfriend. So what is the legal relationship between you and Leah?
She's my girlfriend and also my daughter, mom.
Okay. And you also have William Orson in support today. Would you like to have them speak first?
Yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Orson, if you will speak to the panel, give us some information about the occurrence that we're discussing.
Yes, I called him to come get me because I no longer wanted to be there because me and my cousin had got into it, and I just asked him to come get me, and when he showed up, it was just a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Well, I will just say that the police report and the letter of recant are so wildly different that I just don't even know how to process that.
Yes, ma'am. They lied. Like he didn't break in the house. The police report is all wrong. And my aunt, she even told me that he didn't break in the house, he didn't push her. So she's not understanding why that's on the report as well. She told me personally she never said that. And so they signed affidavits and now the charges were dropped. The case was dismissed.
Mr. Orson available and wants to make a statement.
Yes, ma'am. William Orson.
What would you like to say?
I would like to say that all he did was come over there to get his little baby daughter and my daughter, and he didn't kick the door in. He didn't force his way in. He just knocked on the door. My daughter opened the I mean my sister opened the door for him, and he walked in the house and proceeded to get his child.
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Miss, so with the attorney, sorry, Mr. Spears, would you like to make a statement on behalf of your client?
Yes, ma'am, I would. Thank you very much. So I represent Mr. Francisco with respect to the home invasion charge that was now processed. I don't know what everyone's orientation is, but I'm going to ask this: does everyone know what a Gwen's Law hearing is?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. So there was a Gwen's Law hearing that took place shortly after this happened. I represented him at that hearing. There was some testimony, and the DA did some research. And Mr. Sanji, who was the assistant district attorney, called me and said, "Look, I'm going to drop it. See if you can get somebody, get the victims to write something saying that they're okay with dropping it." But this was not dropped because the victims initiated it. This was dropped because Mr. Sanji, after the Gwen's Law hearing, did not think that that he was going to be able to prove his case, and so the victim stuff that was put into the record after was simply something that the DA likes to have done to clean everything up. But this case was not believed at the very beginning by the prosecutors. And I know that his decision doesn't bind you all in any way, but that was my observation of, and what he told me is that he thought that it was not a credible allegation.
There's a difference between having enough evidence to prosecute someone and the fact that it didn't happen. I mean, that.
Well, the difference, I would just say that the difference between having to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt and you know what's written in the affidavit is one thing. For the DA to decide that that they're not even interested in billing the case or further investigating it or seeking out any victims tells me that the district attorney's you know take on this thing is that it just completely wasn't credible.
So the police report was not credible.
Not that the police weren't credible, but that the statements given to the police that day were not believable.
Okay. Ms. Stapleton, do you have some questions?
Yeah, I do. So later, an officer for the New Iberia Police Department, she writes a letter that the victims, this is after everything I guess is settled down, and she writes a letter, let's see, on March 25th, that victims of the child's mother, the family, that they had been getting threats from him and that they were fearful of him. So here's the thing about some things like this sometimes. It really happens. And then later, I mean, they tell the police, you know, in the heat of the moment, they tell them what happened. Then later, sometimes threats do come their way. And then we have recants. But I mean, what they said happened, that he came there getting the child and throwing the child in the back of the car and all of that different thing, an infant, that was very horrific.
If it occurred, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the fact that we have these recants, but we also have, I a new IBERIA police officer that said that she was getting reports from the family that he was making threats against them. So people do can't under those situations.
I can't speak to that, except that I can say the district attorney also had that information in his file when he made his decision.
Yeah, I know, and I do know that they a lot of times don't go forward with it.
And ma'am, I'll also say that down here in my district in the 16th JDC, domestic abuse situations and things like this are taken extremely seriously. They do not typically jettison a case simply because there's a conflict in what people said or because a victim recants or asks to drop it.
Well, I know that to be true. I know that it's they take victims very serious in your area. I do know that to be true. Let me ask Mr. Francisco, why don't you tell me what you your version?
I was working on my truck and Lil called me. So I stopped doing what I was doing, went in the house, washed my hands up and everything. And I went over there, I knocked at the door and Megan answered. She said, Lil, she said, hey brother, because they call brother, you know, I grew up since I was a kid. And she said, Lil, James is here, you know, so she stepped back, I walk in, Lil handed me the baby in the living room. And as she handed me the baby, she reaching to get the diaper bags and whatnot. Well, as I turned to walk out with her, the cousin Chloe started swinging on me. She swinging on me.
Who started swinging?
She started swinging on me the whole time with my baby in my arm. All the way until they got videos. They even gave the videos to the officers and whatnot, but all the way to my car, I never picked up my hand, nothing, holding my baby, and I turned aside. You know, and I got in the driver's seat of my car, and Lil got in the passenger seat of the car. We left, you know, and I gave the baby to Lil down the road. So, and it's all on video. So with them saying I threw a 2-month-old baby in the back seat, you got to be sane to do something like that. Really? That was a lie. We left from there and we went home. And the reason all this else occurred, you know, I ended up talking to Megan's husband, you know, and James, I know they're lying on you, don't worry about anything, you know, and whatnot. So by this time, my father-in-law, he finds out that they call the cops. So he goes to the police station and let them know that they're lying on him. You know, the police officer told me, I think her name is Davis or whatever her name is. She said, oh, well, he got a record. She said, we've been dealing with him. The best thing for him to do is himself in and fight it from court. You know, and I understand I got a record, you know, but, you know, they don't believe people can change. And that's my fault, you know, because of my stupidity back in the day when I was young. You know, so what I pay dues to society on stuff that I did in the past. But what they're saying, they're really lying on me. You know, and I can't sit here and say, oh, well, this is that, you know, and they have all this stuff from my past history from a kid coming up. You know what I mean? So I can't really follow them. We'll have to come to jail and prove my innocence in court. Whether, you know, they're sitting there lying or whatnot, who words are going to take, mine or theirs. You know, as a convicted felon.
You said the video they saw. Who was taking video? Was somebody had their phone and taking video of all this? I hadn't seen the video.
They had video from the house, which was given to my parole officer. So she seen
video inside the house when all this. I mean, did they have a video camera inside their house?
The video was coming from the house all the way till I got in the car. So the video showed me literally getting in the driver's seat with my baby, and Lil got in the passenger side. What they said that I threw the baby in the back seat, driver's side, and Lil got on the driver's seat, which is a lie. So how can she get in the passenger seat and the back seat at the same time?
Now, this is what I see in the report, that he tossed the infant in the back seat of the vehicle without any type of child restraint, and then got into the driver's seat of the vehicle. While in the driveway, Leah and Chloe and Caitlin attempted to stop the parolee from leaving with the infant. Parolee James Francisco continued to yell at them and threatened to return to the residence and kill the whole family. Then Leah was able to open the rear driver door and enter the vehicle in an attempt, this says, to retrieve the infant from the vehicle. Parolee Francisco was able to drive away from the residence with Leah and the infant inside the vehicle. But you said there's a video that disputes all of this.
Yes, ma'am.
No mention of
Yes.
a video is made here.
Yes, ma'am. That she literally got in the seat. I got in the driver's seat holding my baby. Yeah, I didn't, I should have her in our seat, but Chloe was swinging the whole time. I made it to the driver's side and got inside the driver's seat. While I was getting there, you can still see her swinging over the top. At one point, she grabbed my baby by the arm, and that's when Leah hollered. She's like, "Stop, he got my baby in his arm, stop." She's telling Chloe that.
I see. Let me
And
ask you,
Leah,
at the hearing for Winslow, did they approve a protective order or not? Was that, I didn't see that.
it was nothing protected order.
Okay. I mean, the attorney, you would know that too, sir. There was
Yes,
no-
ma'am. Off the top of my head, I do not remember one being issued.
I didn't see it, so that's why I was wondering about that. Leah, she just talked to us and said that none of this happened that way.
How many children do you have?
I have 11.
Okay, because I read 14 in one place in your record and 16 in another.
How many does it?
You have 11.
The step kids. They have the step kids too. I mean, her kids, I consider them as mine.
Okay, on 2/9/26, what date did this happen?
323, maybe, that's what I'm, yeah, 323.
Agent Seth Como said that he contacted the offender. The officer informed both the offender and the girlfriend that there are consequences for lying, and the offender could get in trouble next time they continue to lie. They both stated they understood. So he would come to check and she would say, "Oh, he's not here," and yet you were there. So there's a history of not being truthful to the agent that we have in the record. I'm personally having a very difficult time reconciling what really happened. Mr. Bobrod, do you have any questions? Any questions? So do the offender or the attorney have anything that you would like to state before we vote?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm not going to belabor you with reciting the law to you, and y'all certainly have the power to do whatever you want. I would just ask that you consider the fact that y'all. This is a first impression for y'all. It's on the affidavit, but the people who've seen and talked to the witnesses and listened to them, including the judge not issuing a protective order, have basically fallen on the side of my client. And that does not bind you in any way, but I would just ask that you take that into account.
Ms. Stapleton, are you prepared to vote?
Let's go to executive session.
We have a request for executive session. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Without objection, we're going to discuss confidential information and we'll be back.
It's crazy.
Mr. Francisco, you have to understand your past does influence and color decisions, okay? That's just a fact of life. We can't get around that. Today, my vote is going to be to continue you on supervision with some stipulations that you have to have a domestic violence prevention class on the outside, that you may not go to the residence where this incident occurred, that you're banned from that incident while you're on supervision. That's 2/2 of 30. You don't come back before then. So let's see what the rest of my colleagues have to say. Ms. Stapleton?
I agree with my colleague, Ms. Ledoux, everything she said. And the class, if available, that I would like to see you take is the 26-week Duluth class, which is very comprehensive on domestic violence. So, I mean, because there's a difference between anger management and domestic violence. And so if that's available, that's the class I would like to see you take.
And ma'am, it is available here.
Good. Okay, great.
And Mr. Barbara?
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and concur with my colleagues, but I'm gonna add the anger management on top of that. Anger management class after the domestic violence class.
They are very different.
Yes.
You know, okay, that's enough said. So today, based on a unanimous vote, you will be continued on supervision with the stipulation, no, you're banned from the residence that happened, and that you take domestic abuse prevention and anger management. Thank you. This is Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled at headquarters in Baton Rouge. On my left is Ms. Carolyn Stapleton. To my right, Danny Barra. I'm Jerry Ledoux. We are at Vermilion Parish Jail. Is there a staff member there in the jail to introduce yourself? Do you
Yes,
have
ma'am. Ma'am?
Is there anyone in the room with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would you introduce yourself, sir, with your name and your DOC number?
Tyler Kavon, bro. DLC number 730556.
Okay. Mr. Bro, you're before the panel with allegations that you have violated the conditions of your parole. Today, we also have Brandy Bonner, probation and parole agent. Ms. Bonner, thank you for your attendance. After we finish with the preliminary, then we'll ask your input. Mr. Barra, would you please continue?
All right. Looking at the preliminary hearing summary, you see that it's already been determined that you are not eligible for appointed counsel for this hearing. So we'll start with number one. You failed to report within 48 hours of release from good time supervision, which occurred on or about February 22nd, 25. How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty.
Okay. Number two, that you failed to report as previously instructed to the Abbeville office in the month of November of 2025. How do you plead to that one?
I plead guilty to that one.
During the month of February 2026, you failed to request permission to change your address of record with the supervising officer, and after moving from 2019 Graceland Avenue, Abbeville, Louisiana. How do you plead to that one?
Not guilty.
And number four, that you have continued to engage in criminal conduct as evident by your arrest on 210 by Abbeville Police Department for committing the offense of possession of Schedule I marijuana, 109 grams, a felony, and that you pled guilty to amended charge of possession of marijuana under Vermilion docket 73657 on or about May 4th, 2026, and was sentenced to 2 days parish jail with credit for time served. How do you plead to that one?
Guilty.
And as of the notice, you were arreared $756 in your parole fee account. How do you plead to that one?
I plead guilty.
All right, so we'll go back to number one, where you pled not guilty, that you didn't report within 48 hours. What? Tell us why you're not guilty of that one.
Because when I signed out signed out my diminution of sentence, I was still incarcerated in River Bend, and they ain't transport me to Crowley jail until like 2 days later, which I bonded out of Crowley jail right then and there on the 24th of February.
And then when did you report in for your intake?
It says like 2 days later. 2-3 days later.
When you're talking about 3 days later, that's a violation. Supposed to be there within 48 hours. So it's a minor violation, but it appears to be a violation.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then number three is the second one you pled not guilty to. During the month of February 26th, you failed to request permission to move. Tell us, you said not guilty. Why you're not guilty of that one?
I wasn't technically done moving. Our lights were still on at the 2019 Graceland address, so everything wouldn't actually move into the house. Our address was still at 2019 Graceland. Like all our furniture was still up in there and everything.
Had you told your parole officer that you were getting ready to move?
No, sir.
Can you see how that could cause a problem?
Yes, sir.
So basically, what you're saying is you were moving, but you wasn't finished moving, but you hadn't
Correct.
told your parole officer about the move. You were
Correct.
gonna wait till you were gonna wait till you were finished moving, and then you would have called and told your parole officer that you had moved?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm gonna just read you the condition one more time. I'll live at the address on the parole certificate. If I must move from this address, I will get permission from the parole officer before doing so. So you see why the parole officer had a problem with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because you didn't tell him before. That's the hangup. And again, not a coffin nail, but still a problem. You know, it's just another little one. You stacked up a bunch of little ones with one big one with it. And then on the rest of them you pled guilty to, so we don't even really need to discuss those. But tell us why you shouldn't be revoked today. Why you think you shouldn't be revoked today? Because
I mean, honestly, I just have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot going on, and I'm trying to better myself. And like, all right, I accept my fault, like in what I did wrong, like with the possession of marijuana. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a big drug problem. I asked Miss Brandy if she could allow me to go to rehab, which they have a rehab out here in Abbeville. It's called Wood Lake. It's like 30 to 45 days. She denied me. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to better myself. I want to do better. I had 3 to 4 jobs when I was home. I worked at Ash Industries. I worked for a construction job in Youngsville. I also worked for Acadiana Bottling, and I also did mobile detailing work, like washing cars.
so you asked her to go to drug treatment?
I did. I did. It's a program they got out here. It's in Abbeville, Louisiana. It's called Wood Lake.
So you have a drug problem that you're admitting to now?
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't have no major drug problem, but I do smoke weed.
There's no such thing as a major amount of this. If you got a problem, you got a problem. So you got a
Right.
problem. But this isn't exactly what I see in the report from Ms. Bonner. Ms. Bonner, you seeing what I'm seeing?
Good morning, sir.
Preliminary hearing, it says that he was offered but refused. And then
Yes,
he's
sir.
saying he refused, so can you clarify that a little bit?
Yes, sir. When Mr. BREAUX asked to go to the rehab treatment, it was after he had already been incarcerated and there had been a disposition on the charges. During that initial contact, he did admit to smoking marijuana throughout the duration of supervision. However, this case, I believe, had been reassigned to me, I believe, approximately 11 months ago, with the promotion of another officer here at the Lafayette District. So he didn't actually request to go to rehab treatment until he was incarcerated. And during that time, he said he didn't want to really spend any more time incarcerated on this and asked if he could go to drug treatment. When I explained that he was not eligible for a technical revocation, I mentioned the custodial treatment with DOC, and he denied having a serious drug issue. So he was presented with the option of the transitional work program. He wanted some time to speak with his family member about his options, and I told him that I would be back the next day. However, the following day, whenever I came in, he was very argumentative. He refused the transitional work program and said that he would rather just gamble with his parole board hearing.
Do you have any recommendations?
I do believe that there is some issues with him taking accountability for his actions. And I've said with most of my cases throughout my career that you're free to decide on parole with whatever choice you want to make, but you're not free from the consequences, whether they are good consequences or bad consequences. I do believe that he does need drug treatment. I believe that he does need it in DOC custody. However, if the parole board feels that that's not necessary, at least he could be in the transitional work program.
Thank you. Anybody else
Yes,
have
sir.
any questions?
I want to probe a little, not from his phone. Thank you very much. I do want to probe Mr. BREAUX a little bit more. Okay. So you wanted to go to rehab, get out of jail as a alternative to being in jail. Like, okay, I'll go to this drug rehab, but I don't want to be in jail. I've heard you say you don't have a big problem with drugs. So smoking marijuana is a way of life for you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What other drugs do you use?
I ain't never used no other drug in my life but marijuana.
Okay. One time I asked someone if they had a drug problem, they said, no, y'all have a problem with my drugs. I don't have a problem with drugs. I think that's probably where we are today. Lack of cooperation with your parole officer. You're a fourth felony offender. How many times have you been on supervision?
How many times like I've been on supervised parole?
Or probation or parole?
I've been on probation one time, and this is my first time on parole.
Okay. So maybe you don't understand how serious it is. Okay. That's all I had, Mr. Bobrod.
Right.
Prepared for you.
Oh,
Sorry. I did want to just clarify periods of supervision. Mr. BREAUX actually has been on supervision more than just twice. He's had a few split sentences. He's had a probation. He's had 1, 2 probation, 3 probations, and then I believe 1, 2, 3 terms of supervision that have been on parole.
I don't.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Those ended revocation, any of them ended revocation?
If you give me 1 moment, I'll be able to tell you, ma'am. Let's see. Previous period of supervision. He stipulated to probation revocation hearing on November 1st, 2018. Let's see. He violated his probation and revoked probation in 2024. The parole board terminated his parole unsatisfactorily in February of 2025 due to he would owe no time if he was revoked. Let's see. This one. This one was a successful completion in 2019. And the last one that I have was He was revoked January 14th of 2019, and that was a probation case. So he has had several periods of supervision.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, taking into consideration the offender's request and the probation officer's recommendation, I'm gonna go ahead and not revoke you today, order you to go to long-term DOC treatment.
Yes, sir.
And I concur with my colleague.
Um, I would revoke you and send you in lieu of revocation to long-term substance abuse. So you're
Well,
saying,
that's what I'm,
wait,
in lieu of revocation,
I thought you said continuing. Okay.
what if I said that?
In lieu of revocation. In other words, you are going to remain in the custody of DOC and go to a long-term substance abuse program. That would be my vote as well. So unanimous vote. You are in lieu of revocation going to a long-term substance abuse program. And that concludes our business there with Vermilion.
Name. Yes, yeah, more clear.
Yeah, let me make it bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there go my boss right there.
Hey, good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is paneled in Baton Rouge at headquarters. To my left is Ms. Stapleton. To my right is Mr. Bob Rock and Ms. Ledoux. Sir, would you introduce yourself with your name and your DOC number?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Caleb Brown. My DLC number is 736-281.
Okay, Mr. Brown, you're at River Bend Correctional Center. Is there any staff in the room with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please introduce yourself to the panel?
My name is Lieutenant Jonathan.
Okay, Lieutenant, have you had any problems with the offender since he's been at your facility?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Brown, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that is a parole revocation questionnaire?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just a moment. We'll put one on the screen. Okay, so do you see what she'll slide now? Do you see your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the answers to that questionnaire indicate that you are not eligible for appointed counsel, and I don't have any evidence that you have a retained attorney. So we'll go ahead and proceed. Mr. Bob Rock is going to read some allegations of parole violation against you, and you're going to enter a plea of guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty. Mr. Bob Rock?
It's alleged you have violated the conditions of your probation parole in the following manner. Number 2, that you failed to submit a monthly report each month to the Office of Probation and Parole, and you have failed to report to your supervisor as instructed on several occasions. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
All right. Number 4 says you failed to refrain from engaging in criminal activity as evident by your arrest by the Mississippi Highway Patrol on or about 3/22/26 when you arrested and booked into Walthall County Jail and charged with driving under the influence, first offense marijuana, synthetic cannabinoid misdemeanor, and additional traffic offenses. Records indicate that you pled guilty to and were convicted of the charges on or about April 15th of 2026. How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty.
Not guilty?
Yes, sir. I was not under the influence.
Right. Second, number 4, that you failed to refrain from engaging in criminal activity as evident by your arrest on 7/9/24 by the Terrell Police Department located in the state of Texas. You were arrested, booked into the Terrell County Jail and charged with simple assault, family violence. Records indicate that on or about July 10th, 2024, you pled guilty and was convicted of this charge. How do you plead today?
Not guilty.
Condition number 9, that you failed to follow the Office of Probation and Parole, failed to allow the Office of Probation and Parole to contact you at home or elsewhere by rendering yourself unavailable to be supervised. Due to this, your whereabouts were unknown and a warrant was issued for your arrest. How do you plead to number 9?
Also not guilty.
And number 10, you failed to pay your supervision fee payments to probation and parole and are currently $2,331 in arrears. How do you plead to that one?
Guilty.
All right, looks like you pled not guilty to everything except the payment. So let's go back and take a look at number 2. Number 2 was that you were supposed to complete a monthly report every month with the probation and parole officers in the office, and they say you failed to do that. Give us your statement about that one. You did report every month and pay a statement.
I was reporting to Jeffrey Turquit, but then he retired, and I was never given another supervisor or a parole officer, and I've never met Taylor Jawar, or I had no knowledge of him being my parole officer until he came and picked me up from the Mississippi jail.
many times did you report to the parole office after Mr. Turkwood retired? How many times did you go to the office?
Whenever I changed my address,
How many times was that?
2 or 3 times.
In how many period of months was that?
I know in 2024, I moved to Denham Springs on 9085 Cedar Springs. Then I moved to K Market Road in Denham Springs. And then I moved to my current address, 22859 Cuba Wheat Road. And that was the last time I reported in.
So you only reported whenever you would move. You wouldn't report every month like they had wanted you to.
Well, I
Right.
didn't have a parole officer to report to, sir.
But it didn't say if you have an assigned parole officer. It just says that you report to the probation and parole office every month. That's what the condition says. It doesn't say who. You have to have an assigned one. They got officers, they call them duty officers that'll see you whenever you show up.
Yes, sir. You're right. That's correct.
Kind of under the impression that all you had to do was report when you move, and that'd be good. All right. Go on from that one. The condition number 4, where you were arrested by Mississippi Highway Patrol and were convicted on April 15th of 2026. You said you were not guilty of a charge that you pled guilty to. Can you explain that one?
Yes, sir. First of all, I was not under the influence when I was driving. And when he did search the vehicle, I told him I had medical marijuana with my name on it in the sealed package in the side of the truck. And he still charged me for driving under the influence when I was not under the influence.
Did you have a travel permit to be in Mississippi?
No, ma'am.
That's enough said on that. Whether you were guilty of driving under the influence or not, you were in Mississippi without a travel permit. Did you ever receive a travel permit to go to Texas?
No, ma'am.
So whether you were guilty when you were arrested in Texas or not, you were guilty of absconding supervision.
But I was at work though. That's the
Matter.
okay.
That the parole officer would give you a travel permit to go to work if you just weren't asked. You didn't realize that?
I did not know that. That's my fault. That's my fault.
That's what happens. That's the problem. That's why they want you to go in once a month so you can know what's going on. He can know what's going on. And if you got to go to work in Texas, he can make you legit. You were just kind of looks like running around all over the place, not reporting and didn't know what was going on. So for the one in Texas, you pled guilty to that one too. But now you're saying you're not guilty of it?
Not guilty of it. I never put my hands on a person.
Well, why did you plead guilty to both of those charges if you're not guilty of both of them?
Well, through that charge, I had to plead guilty so I could go home because I had to go back to work. And the judge in Texas told me to plead guilty to it and he let me go.
Is that what happened?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I pled guilty and he let me go. I had to go back to work.
You didn't realize that was going to be a violation of your parole?
No, sir, I didn't.
Right.
If that was the case, I wouldn't have pled guilty to it.
Yeah. Okay. So you were working in Texas, and then when the judge let you go, you went right back to work. That was why you pled guilty.
Well, I left and went back to Louisiana because Jeffrey Turkwood told me to come check in.
So now you're getting me confused because you're saying you got out of jail so you could go back to work, but were you commuting back and forth from Texas to Louisiana every day to work?
No, sir.
That work out? How did you get to go to work and still be living in Louisiana?
I went to work a few days in Texas, but then I broke up with my girlfriend and she called the police and told them that I put my hands on her because I broke up with her. Then I had to go to jail. Then the judge told me to plead guilty, and then he let me go. So when he let me go, I called Jeffrey Turquid, told him what happened. He told me to come back to Louisiana and check in, which is what I did. And he told me I couldn't go back to Texas.
I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
No, sir. I just hope that I can go home or at least go back to work, or because I honestly did not know that Taylor Jawar was my parole officer. I wasn't purposely absconding. That was not my intentions. And even with the situation of leaving, going to Texas and going to Mississippi, like I said, I had no knowledge of that he was my officer, so I didn't know to report to anybody. So that's my mess up. I accept my consequences for that.
Anybody else have a question?
Do not. If you would have been there to begin with, they could have talked about travel permits. They could have talked about all that stuff. That's why you have to report. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Barbara, we have a friend, Mr. Mason Nickens, who would like to make a statement. Sir, if you would like to at this time.
Hello, everybody.
Um,
Can y'all hear me?
yes.
Okay. The whole complication thing between Caleb thinking he had a specific parole officer, I believe, was because his previous parole was in a different division, and we did have parole officers specified for us. I just wanted to clarify that. So I think that's where the confusion, but I agree. If he would have been paroling, visiting the office, that would have been discussed. The thing that I want to mention for Mr. Brown is he has a career opportunity. I'm a success story. I was previously on parole. I completed it. I have a career now in renewable energies for two of the biggest contractors in the United States. I completely turned my life around, and I'm here to support Caleb Brown, and I want to see him succeed. And I have a job lined up for him. He was headed toward me in Mississippi, coming to Florida, and he got pulled over. However, it is to my knowledge that he wasn't reporting. And we do support felons in this company, and we also support them traveling back home to get a new permit when a new project starts. I have an opportunity for Caleb Brown to change his life completely, and I will see it forward if we get y'all's blessing.
I got a question for you. How long is that job offer good for?
This job offer is good for the tables turn fast. A lot of guys don't make it. The next 30 days would be best for me to get him hired immediately and get him started working at these projects. We just fired 2 guys today.
Let me ask you a question. What about his marijuana use?
That he will have to pass a drug screen, so he will have no affiliation with medical marijuana, even if he has a card.
Well, you spoke very well of your friend, and you do have a good program.
Yes, ma'am. I have a lot of faith in him. He just doesn't have the resources.
Okay.
And I will see to it.
His full term date is 11/6/26, although he will owe some time after he was warranted. Time stops when you get a warrant.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What do you think about that job offer, and you got to get rid of your medical marijuana card?
I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't need marijuana.
What did you have? What was your medical condition you were getting it for?
PTSD and anxiety.
You don't have that anymore?
No, sir.
Well, you better be anxious to see your parole officer. That's the anxiety you need right now.
Ma'am, I was wrongfully released and I went straight to him when I was wrongfully released. I have no issue with going to see my parole officer at all, now that I know that he is my parole officer.
Where you gonna live?
22859 Cuba Wheat Road.
Baton Rouge?
That's in Coyell, Louisiana.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's within Baton Rouge District.
I have a Baton Rouge address with my girlfriend, 14700
I want to
Grapevine.
use the address where you don't live, because that's gonna get you in more trouble again. So you're gonna, if your address is not in Baton Rouge District, you're gonna have to go to your Baton Rouge parole officer and get your parole officer transferred to that address.
It has to be where you are residing, not just an address, where you
You
live.
can't just say, I'm living at my girlfriend's and go live in Texas either. Where,
Yeah.
Mr. Nickens, where would he need to live to work with you? Where would he need to live to work with you?
The good news is I just closed on a house and I slept in it 2 nights. So he will not be home. All he needs is an address. He will be working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Can't
He'll
do
be
that.
he'll be
Where?
he'll be staying. We usually have solar sites in the southern regions, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, New Mexico, and we do allow him to take off and get back to the house to get a new permit to come back out of state. He can keep renewing it. But whatever he needs to do to make it happen, and if he needs to report, I can also help him financially to get a cell phone and report. I'll stay on him. I want to see this guy get where he's trying to get. He just needs the resources. And I'll help him get his phone set up so he can report. He can call him. He won't be a ghost. Y'all know where he's at, and y'all know what project he's on and what state he's at.
So you successfully completed your parole, so you know what you gotta do.
Yes, sir. And I can lead him in the right direction.
You're gonna help him and make sure that he gets to his parole officer in contact monthly. He goes when the parole officer needs to be. He has his travel permits to go to your jobs. You're gonna help us with that.
Yes, sir, I will. This is my job. This is my full-time job. It's providing and changing my family's lives. And I want to see it happen for the next guy.
All right. You saved him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Quite impressive.
Very much so.
All right, Mr. Brown. I'm gonna vote to reinstate your supervision, put you back on parole with the condition that you stay in contact with your parole officer monthly. You get travel permits when you need to go to work, and that you go to work with Mr. Mickens.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don't thank us, thank him. That's the reason
Yeah.
I vote with Mr. Barbara. You got somebody on your side, so.
Thank you, Mason. Thank you, man.
Just remember, you got to give an address, a real address, not a address of where my baby mama stays or my auntie. Wherever you're gonna stay, when you do come back here, it's gotta be able to be checked out by the parole officer. Parole officer needs to go see it, inspect it, and then you need to apply for a travel permit to go wherever you want. They last for 30 days. So every 30 days, you're gonna have to get your travel permit reinstated if you plan on working all over the southern United States, like he says. Or else you're gonna end up right back here for not reporting and not getting a permit and being out of state without a permit.
You gotta have your fees up to date too, baby.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, I agree with my colleagues, both of them. And I agree with Mason. He's got a good plan for you. He could start a parole project or something like that. So, you know, you're lucky to have a friend like that. Not everybody does. So
Okay, a unanimous vote. Today you have been continued on supervision, not revoked. Wish you well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled at headquarters in Baton Rouge. On my left is Ms. Stapleton. To my right is Mr. Barra and Ms. Ledoux. Would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
TAPIWA RUBUNYA, 771-350.
Okay. Rubunya?
Yes, ma'am.
Rubunya? Okay. Sir, you're before this panel today because of allegations of criminal conduct while you've been on your supervision. Your case is, Ms. Stapleton is going to read out the violations, but before we do that, do you have a piece of paper that you've signed that's called a parole revocation questionnaire? Do you see a piece of paper?
I signed it, yes, ma'am.
And you recognize your signature on that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, so that indicates that you are not eligible for appointed counsel. I do not see where you have retained an attorney, so we'll go ahead and get started. You're going to answer guilty with a statement, or not guilty. Okay, so Ms. Stapleton.
Okay. On or about 10/4/2025, you were arrested by the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office for possession of firearm and carrying concealed weapon by a person convicted of a certain felonies, theft of a firearm and theft less than $1,000. These charges remain pending and are billed under docket CLC 17122-25. A pretrial conference is set for 9/8/2026. But how do you plead in front of us today?
I plead guilty.
You plead guilty?
Yeah.
They had video of it and everything, so.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, you made my job easy.
Yeah, right.
Anybody have any questions?
No, we're prepared to vote.
Okay, well, today, sir, you pled guilty to violating your parole, so my vote is going to be to revoke you.
Mr. Barra.
I concur.
Mr. Barra concurs, and I do as well. So today unanimously, you've been revoked on your parole. We wish you well.
Hey, can I get credit for time served for my time?
Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled at headquarters in Baton Rouge. On my left is Ms. Stapleton. To my right is Mr. Barra and Ms. Ledoux. You are currently located at Livingston Parish Detention Center. Is there any staff in the room with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Corporal Parker Smith.
Okay, Corporal Smith. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
That's it, ma'am.
That's it.
Okay, great. Corporal Smith, have you had any problems with the offender since he's been there with you?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, I am the trustee supervisor here at the detention center in Livingston, and he recently, about 2 weeks ago, tested positive for methamphetamines and Suboxone while working on inmate worker status.
Tell me that's not true.
That is true. I asked if that was going to disqualify him, this, didn't it?
Yes, ma'am. My temptation got to me, and I messed up.
Has the write-up gone to a disciplinary board?
No, ma'am. We just sent it to your parole revocation here today.
So do you plan to send that to the disciplinary board for an actual write-up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Sir, do you have a revocation questionnaire in front of you?
I believe this is it right here, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So you recognize your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that indicates that you are not eligible for appointed counsel, and I do not see any attorney of record. And so Ms. Stapleton is going to read out your allegations of parole violation, and you're going to enter a plea of guilty with the statement or not guilty. Ms. Stapleton?
Okay. All right. Rule violation number 3. On 10/15/2025, a warrant was requested due to the subject absconding supervision. Many attempts to locate that subject were made to no avail until his arrest on 4/9/2026. How do you plead?
Guilty.
On 4/30/2025 and 6/30/2025, the subject admitted to recent use of methamphetamines. How do you plead?
Guilty. I was just going through things. I'm losing my mother in 24, February 15th. I just lost my mom, so it was pretty hard on me. And I mean, I have nobody out here but me, besides my kids. So I mean, it's hard.
Okay. Rule number 4. On 4/9/2026, the subject was arrested by probation and parole for absconding supervision and resisting an officer. The subject was booked on other active charges and warrants. One was hit and run and a warrant. During this arrest, the subject also admitted to recent use of Mojo. On 4/30/2026, the subject pled to the hit and run and resisting an officer. Subject was sentenced to 21 days in parish jail, credit for time served. How do you plead, sir?
Guilty.
Okay. Rule violation number 6. Since being placed on good time parole supervision on 6/25/2024, the subject has not provided proof of employment. How do you plead?
Guilty. At the time, I was I think Ricky was my parole officer. I was trying to get in the plants again by getting my oyster my twig, but it didn't work out, and I honestly didn't have a stable place to go to till I got back with my baby mama, my kid's mom, and she's the one that's actually been trying to get me back on my feet, to be honest with you.
That's good. Okay, rule violation number 9. On 10/15/2025, a warrant was requested due to the subject absconding supervision. Many attempts to locate the subject were made to no avail until his arrest on 4/9/2026. How do you plead?
Guilty. And another thing, the recent address that they had, I mean, I guess because of what was going on, my sister didn't want no part of it. so she kind of ran me off. Like I said, I didn't have a stable place. So when they would go look for me at the address that they had, I mean, I wasn't there obviously because she didn't want me there. I had nowhere to go.
Staying, were you homeless?
I was back and forth with friends till, like I said, till I got back with my kid's mother. When I got back with her is when I got stable right there off of Vincent Road where I got arrested.
But you never did go to your probation officer and let them know.
I didn't have any transportation either, man. Like it's hard.
Mhm. All right, so no transportation, no place to stay.
Not at that time.
What about a phone? Could you have
No,
called?
my sister took the phone from me too because it was under her name. So yeah.
All right, so rule violation number 10, the subject is currently $1,325 behind on supervision fees. How do you plead?
Guilty. I tried paying it at first, like I said, and I lost the job. I didn't have no source of income. I tried getting paid under the table, didn't work out. It's just been up and down with me. Like I said, all thanks to my baby mother right now. She's the only one that's been actually trying to help me. Other than that, I had no source.
Well, I'm showing here, and tell me if I'm wrong, okay? That you're currently on good time parole supervision until 10/3/29, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you got some time. Let me ask you this, clearly, drugs is a huge problem in your life.
It's
And
really not.
It's like, well,
It's
when
really,
you said your mother died, that's what you turned to, and you had your,
yes,
that's a
yes,
problem.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you're
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
drugs and you're doing drugs with your children because your mother died. What do you think that did for your kids, seeing you doing drugs?
You're right.
Are you passing along that behavior that they're gonna think?
No, no, ma'am. No, not at all.
No, you just
Not at
don't
all.
want to, but are you doing that by the example you set?
I try my best not to be around them. Like if I know I'm not, if I know I'm not in the right sense, I just take a walk or leave. But like I said, I haven't been around my kids for almost a couple months till I went home. The last time I went home, and I try to get close to them again, and I lose my mother. Other than that, I mean, I don't really have a problem. It's just I get to a point where I break down and I don't know who to turn to. That's it.
That's the problem, you turn to drugs. So if I were to say that that I'd recommend that you go to a long-term DOC treatment, is that something you'd even want to do? Because you're not even saying you got a problem.
Now the DFC treatment, what would that be? Like I said, I've never done any of those things. So I don't know.
Long-term DOC treatment, that would be like at a place just off the cuff, and my colleagues might have better. Steve Hall is what I was gonna say. And then you would go there, and that's an excellent drug treatment program for somebody who wants to get clean and start life anew. But you gotta want that.
Will
And
I
you gotta
still
recognize you have a problem.
Yes, ma'am. Will I still be like incarcerated?
Yes. You
Let
don't
me make it easy for you. You're gonna be incarcerated no
either
matter
way.
Right.
You wanna be incarcerated at drug treatment, or you wanna be incarcerated doing what you're doing right now and with no hope of getting any better?
I'd rather get some help.
Well said, Mr. Bauer. That's my feelings too.
Yeah, I'd rather get some help.
Well, fortunately, here in Louisiana, we have a place that you can get that help, but you're gonna have to end up wanting it to live it.
You're not gonna get clean of drugs unless you want to.
Yes, ma'am.
You're saying you don't really have a drug problem?
I mean, it's not like that. It's just like I said, when it gets down to not knowing what to do, I guess yeah, I do have a drug problem.
Why do you think you're in jail right now?
Honestly, scared. I just didn't want to come back to jail. Besides the drug problem that I was going through after losing my mom, I just lost it. I just felt like I lost everything. She was the only one to help me.
Have you burned some bridges? In other words,
Yeah, I did.
okay. You see, that's all related to what?
Drug use.
So, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm ready to vote. Is everyone? Okay, my vote today is, I'm going to revoke you, but I'm going to recommend that you're sent to a long-term treatment program for DOC. Oh,
You want to do it in lieu of, or do you want to revoke?
you can't go.
It's only recommendation.
Okay, but if you can go. Okay, so I really want to see you go to this long-term treatment program. So in lieu of revocation, I'm going to, in lieu of revocation, and that you be sent to Steve Hall for a long-term DOC drug treatment program.
Thank you, man.
Mr. Monroe.
I'm gonna concur with me.
Okay, let me tell you my hangup. You can't have a disciplinary, I don't know if they're gonna even take you because of your discipline. Okay? So what we're doing is I'll concur and send you in lieu of revocation. But that facility may decide that you can't go because you're disciplined. And in that case, if you have to come back, my vote will be to revoke you. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You can't break the rules while you're
what
incarcerated.
What she's telling you in simple terms is, don't be doing any more mojo or meth or anything like that between now and the time, because that's considered another disciplinary violation.
Right.
You need to shut it down right now. You've done your last drug. Say goodbye and start thinking about it. Say goodbye,
Yes,
drugs.
sir.
Now, my friend.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Getting you on the right path.
Okay, this concludes our hearing and for the rest of the day, our hearing at Livingston and for the day. Thank you.